We must be nuts. All right, ready to go. In 3, my hair looks crappy. In 3, 2, 1.
Hello? Are you ready? Yes. Then we'll begin.
You know, musicians are insane by nature, and we must be totally insane to do this live again. Here we are on Labor Day, Monday morning. Are you ready? It's Monday Morning Catholic, number 86.
6:30 Monday morning. I'm here hiding in my bed. A song plays on my alarm clock as I cover up my head. Somewhere in the distance.
You know, and on holiday weekends, when you stay up late, you have to get up early in the morning to do a show. That's how I felt this morning, trying to get up. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you happen to be. Welcome to another Monday Morning Catholic episode, and we are live with the entire gang. They're all here this morning, some threatening to come in their pajamas, some coming in sideways, but they're all here this morning, especially someone we haven't seen in a few weeks, Nancy Smith, St. Teresa St. Christopher's, Tiverton, Rhode Island. Good morning, Nancy. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Good morning, everyone. Happy Labor Day. Good morning, Steve and Linda.
Yes, we should all be resting from our labors, but instead we're here, right? Linda Reed, St. Thomas Parish, Providence, Rhode Island. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm resting from my labors.
And
I just have to be talking about it.
Okay. And of course, still reveling in his new parish, Steve Romano, St. Augustine's in Providence, Rhode Island. Good morning, Stephen. How you doing?
Good morning. I worked all weekend, so I'm not doing a thing today. Not a thing. As a matter of fact, I even made my wife make the bed this morning. That's how excited I was.
All right.
And no Labor Day funerals, nothing?
No, I don't ever think I've done anything on Labor Day. No.
Even a wedding? Because my parents got married on Labor Day.
No, I don't think so.
That was in the old days, Latin Mass, 9 a.m. wedding.
That's right. Yeah. I think my in-laws was the same thing, early in the morning. Yeah.
That must have been rough on the musicians.
Yeah.
Either that or it was a low Mass. Anyway, so we decided to do this thing again because the last time we did it, people actually liked it. But not so. See, it wasn't a holiday weekend when we did it. So we had at least 6 viewers. Now it's a holiday weekend, so I'm wondering if everybody is just asleep.
I think so.
At this point. Yeah, I think everybody. But we're here, and we're happy to be here, and every one of us has a homily.
Hey.
So that tells you where we've all been this weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
Many different places. But we are here to look back, as usual, at the previous weekend's liturgies, try to make some sense of everything, and to look at other things that are happening in the news. And things are happening, we are live right now, things are happening that in the news that aren't going to happen until tomorrow. And I already put it up for next week's Voice of the People, and they've already blown the roofs off with it. So we can't talk about it today because we really don't know what it is. But go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/Monday Morning Catholic. You'll see that up there. You'll see another topic that we're looking to talk about next week, which is really near and dear to our hearts here in the Diocese of Providence. But I have a feeling it's not going to reach. We may have to talk about it anyway, but we reserve the right to do that. It is our show. So, and everybody's very quiet this morning. Don't let me do all the talking, people.
Because it's Monday morning.
And
we're doing our best.
And this is why we record on Sunday afternoons normally, because everybody's awake. But now it's like, excuse me? Yeah, but like, no. How many cups of coffee collectively have you three? Because I don't drink coffee.
How 0. I haven't had coffee yet.
I had 1.
You had 1.
I don't drink coffee.
Okay. There's our problem. No caffeine.
Okay, I'll be right back.
But I've had my caffeine.
Okay, you've had your caffeine? All right.
Yes. I don't drink coffee. I get my caffeine in bubbly form.
Bubbly form.
In
Okay.
bubbly form, yes.
All right. Well, for
Is it legal?
Yes,
Whoa!
I'm going bubbly form. Wait a
it's
minute.
very legal. It's Diet Coke.
See, that's why I'm being quiet.
Well, you know, I mean, Linda did tell us she went to a special store when she was in Colorado.
Yes, I did.
Yes.
The rails went that way.
Yes, yes, I did. I was in Colorado. I wanted to see one, and I did.
Did you actually? This is a true story now. Did you?
This is a true story. Yes.
Gosh, and what was it like?
Well, it looked like a clinic. You know, except instead of little bottles up on the wall, it was little bags of grass.
Okay.
Was there like a pastry front, like a little grape front, or no? No.
No, but there was a guy at the door. There was
Oh.
a guy at the door taking your driver's license.
Whoa.
I said, "Whoa, you carding me? I am really, really honored. I haven't been carded in years." And then as I was watching the transactions go on, they were retaking the driver's license again as the transactions went on.
So they were only selling to people from Colorado, I take it.
I don't know. They were only selling to people to use it in Colorado. You cannot take it out of the state.
That was a backdoor way of asking her a very, very forward question, Joanne.
No, it wasn't. That was not what it was.
Did they sell you any?
So Linda,
doing
Linda, how many pounds did you buy?
Yeah.
Come on now.
Couldn't take it home. I couldn't take it home.
Oh, jeez.
Your lack of faith disturbs.
I couldn't take it home. Although they say it helps with chronic pain.
Oh,
Which would be right up your alley.
It's right up my alley, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
wow.
But
It took
I
us.
didn't buy any.
It took us 7 minutes to completely come unhinged. It took us 7 minutes to come completely unhinged.
Well, hey, you know.
That's
I'll
But
hit my
that was
Vivaldi
what I did on my summer vacation.
nice on vacation. Okay. Well, my summer vacation wasn't half as exciting. Even though we were away a little bit last week, it was fun.
Nice.
We put the dog in a kennel for the first time in a long time, and I think it took her 4 days to realize she was liberated and not have to be there anymore when she got home. So,
It's funny.
poor thing. But we are going into actual feedback because we got feedback.
Yay! Thank you.
So it's yes, thank you for I've just had to say it how many weeks?
Yeah.
How many
That's
weeks?
all right.
We need feedback.
We're very happy with the people that have sent us feedback. Thank you.
Extremely happy. So since we have 5 homilies and no waiting, let's get
How does it look from your side? How does it look from
as Stephen Curtis Chapman
How
sings.
does it look from your
How does it look on your side of the world?
your side?
And we have 2 pieces of feedback. One wanting to wanting to give his vote on the topic that we're not talking about this week, unfortunately, and the other giving us some feedback that she had sent a while back. Does that make any sense? I know it's Monday morning, and I have no coffee or tea here to drink. So the first one, I will say, it's our friend John in Yakima who wanted to place his choice for Voice of the People segment, and it was one that we chose that did not get enough clicks. Surprisingly enough, it was the get rid of a hymn for a year choice. And that's what he was looking for. And he said, my choice for him not to sing in my parish is This Is My Song, a.k.a. Finlandia. This was a hymn recommended on the Pathos website in a June 30th article. We have been singing that tune for every national holiday for decades in my parish. Now, that's not the norm, because that had not been something that had been used for a long time. So I find, that's an interesting little pocket of Catholicism using that piece. I am tired of this wimpy patriotic song. I note that Pathos did not identify the title or the origin of the song, though not the official national anthem of Finland. It ranks high in their national song repertoire. I understand that all of us would love to get rid of a hymn or two or five.
Or 20.
Or 20, okay? Whoever thought that up thought they were being cute. I don't think they realized how much danger.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree.
That was one of those danger Will Robinson moments.
Yes.
You know, like, wow. I was ready to talk about it if it had come up, but it didn't. So sorry, John. We're not going to be talking about that today. But thank you for the feedback. At least we've I have feelings about Finlandia as a tune. It's nice, but there were so many hymns out there. You know,
to me, it's a taxing melody to sing.
It is.
Because I did use This Is My Song.
Yeah.
One year when 4th of July fell on a Sunday, and you know I used to work in the most patriotic town in America.
You did.
I thought to myself, okay, how are we going to do this? So at the preparation of the gifts, I actually programmed that in, and I remember doing it, and we did all 3 verses of it. It's long, but I do remember the people picking it up, and it was rather than do like all the other patriotic, because I also think we did one other one, but I remembered using that one distinctly, and it was like something new for everybody. But somehow it's one of those tunes that you just know. But I did find that after singing it, it's a taxing melody to sing. It's almost like that. It's almost like Thax Ted.
Yes.
We used it. We used it also, Stephen, and the reason I used it was because of the text, not necessarily because of the tune. I used it because of the text, because the text was more universal rather than "Hail America, poo on the rest of you." You know?
Right.
That isn't what patriotic songs do. We're great. You're not.
Yes, exactly. I was trying to kind of mitigate that feeling a bit. And so I used This Is My Song this year because 4th of July fell on a Saturday. So I only used it at the 4 o'clock Mass on Saturday. And I personally liked it better than doing America the Beautiful or America or any of these other songs. It's a patriotic song, but it's whatever your country is, God bless it, you know? It just seemed a little kinder and gentler as a patriotic song. That's why I used it.
All right. But see, everybody's got one of those hymns. Now, whether it's because you played it too much or just don't like where it goes, everybody's got one. And I don't think you would ever reach a consensus.
No.
People. You know, so I wonder who would win that. It all comes out of an article. I wonder who would win that.
Yeah.
You know, who would be the one? Because I think
it was a fundraiser for a parish.
Yeah.
And whoever bid the highest got to strike their hymn.
And how does the musician feel about that in the parish?
Yeah,
that would be, question. How would the musician?
Exactly.
So,
There's so many potential drawbacks on so many different levels. I didn't think it was a great idea.
No, I didn't either.
And right now, I don't have a hymn that I just don't want to do anymore. I used to.
I do.
You Are Near. If You Are Near one more time, it was, and I love the song. It was just everywhere I turned, You Are Near, You Are Near.
Right.
And though I love the song.
Yeah.
But currently, I don't have a song that's just got to go. I don't have one.
Nancy, you know mine, I think. It was the one I hate to play every Christmas. I mean, every Easter.
Every Easter?
Oh, it's Monday morning on a holiday at 9 something or another. You're not going to be able to pull that from this brain.
Hallelujah, hallelujah, let the holy anthem rise.
Oh, I love that one.
I hate that hymn, and I hate playing it. It's just a pain in the
we don't do that one, so.
I hate that hymn.
You won't encounter it at St. Thomas.
Thank you.
And I think that anything like that needs to be not eliminated. I don't think they need to be. That's part of the heritage in my head.
Right. They just need to be.
And it's not even my childhood heritage to keep bring forth, but that's a value that I place. So that's why Joanne had to play it every now and again.
Every now and again. Anyway, our other thank you, John, for sending your feedback. Our other feedback is from Lily in Fort Worth. This time, now we know where she's from. Last time, tell us where she's from, and she's from Fort Worth. So
Hi, Lily.
We're really making it into the rest of the country. Yay. And Lily says, because she had asked us for some Bible study recommendations way back, I think I want to say in May. And she says, thank you for your Bible study considerations. You put me down some great paths, and we have resources for the next couple lined up. Well, that's great. Good. We're spending our whole year in Cranberry Country studying the Bible. So that's very timely. She says, I am also caught up, and she's only 5 episodes behind.
Oh, wow.
Okay, we'll see you in a month or so, Lily.
You must be really tired of us.
She's one of these people who starts from the beginning to know everything going on, and I've done that with some podcasts too, depending on the podcast. So I know where she comes from. And she says, you mentioned someone, so I start listening to those podcasts as well. You know, sort of like the Catholic Drinky led to the Catholic Hipster, which is Allison Gingras, which led to Word on Fire. Can't start where it is now, so I go back to the beginning. Word on Fire is very interesting. Oh, yes, it is.
Oh, yes, it is.
We love our Bishop-elect Barron.
Yes.
And I forget when his ordination, I think it's soon.
I don't know, but he's already wearing that red skull cap.
They have to. The minute they are
bishop-elect?
The minute they are bishop-elect, they're allowed to wear the zucchetta and the pectoral cross. And they can also wear the color.
They can, or it's mandatory?
I can only tell you what I saw with the Bish, and the Bish already had it on like a week or two after. I mean, he had it on immediately.
Yeah.
Went to the
just curious.
Right, when he went to the press conference, he had a pectoral cross on. So did Bishop-elect Barron.
Yeah.
So I think they already can. The only things they can't have are the mitre, the crozier, and the ring.
Okay.
Which they'll get at the ordination, at the installation.
Ritual. They're in the ritual. So.
Okay.
But so we love our Word on Fire, definitely. And this is a good time for me to publicly just say, our friends, the Catholics Next Door, have changed their name.
Oh!
They've rebranded their podcast to Greg and Jennifer's Adventures in Imperfect Living. Now, I understand why they did it, even though I told them I didn't think they needed to. But why no? I understand they want to become more visible to a larger audience, and the word Catholic tends to narrow the scope down. Yeah. All right, fine. I'm okay with that. They're still doing what they normally do, which is good, because I don't want to see them change who they are. And I don't think they will. But I think the Catholics Next Door kind of flips off the tongue a little faster.
Yeah.
Greg and Jennifer's Adventures in Imperfect Living.
Yes.
That's just my opinion. But I want to tell everybody, because if you've been looking for the Catholics Next Door and you see something different, that is intentional. Okay, some people will say, "Ooh, what happened here? Is this a scam or a spam or no? That's them. They have just changed as of episode 100. They have rebranded themselves, and I still keep telling people to listen to them because they're the most real Catholic couple on the internet at this point. They talk about the real things in life. So, and it gets rather hysterical at times, and then it gets rather deep at others. So it's just like living in a Catholic household.
Yeah.
That gave me a good segue to talk about that. Then Lily goes on to say where that she's from Fort Worth, and she didn't take notes during the homily that she was listening to, which was 2 weeks ago. It was actually last week, which we weren't here. But she says, but the overriding theme was faith formation does not end at confirmation. It is a lifelong habit that should be modeled by parents. All right, since I was listening to something different last week, actually, where was I last week for Matt? Oh yeah, I was with you guys. Then she says, below I have included the link to the homilies and its audio. Yesterday's wasn't posted yet, but there may be another resource for you to pull from. Now, I went and looked up this website, and it is Good Shepherd Catholic Community in Colleyville, Texas. Okay? And I was very, very impressed with their homily. With the setup. Number one, I'm impressed with their website to begin with. It's a very dynamic website. It's not boring. It looks like they take a lot of great pains to update it and do all that kind of stuff. But what they do is not only do they just post the homily, they post the first reading and the second reading as well. So the lector reads the scripture, and then you hear the first reading, the second reading, the gospel, and then the homily. Now, the only thing I would take issue with is why isn't the psalm there? But I think I understand if they sing the psalm, there's a copyright issue.
Yep.
So, and that's a shame.
Plus, it might be all I ask of you. So.
Okay.
Let us hope not.
Let us hope not.
Fervently hope it is not.
Yes, let us wait in joyful hope that this is not.
I'm sorry, I just had to. I just had to do that.
But I seriously think it's the copyright thing, and that's something producers really need to think about, because the psalm is the word of God, and it should be in there because it gives you the entire liturgy of the word. And then what I love is right before you hear the homily, there's like this 1-minute disclaimer by the pastor. This is our homily. It's copyrighted by us. You are not allowed to use it for anything else. And you know what? I think he has to do that in this day and age.
Yeah.
Okay? But at least it's phrased very nicely, but it gives you warning that, this is copyrighted under, I don't know if it's Creative Commons or whatever, but it's their copyright. They own it. So don't go out and misuse it, basically.
Don't go out and take it as your own.
No. But so I was really impressed, Lily, with your parish's website and everything they've been going there. I will put a link to that website in our honorable mentions for this week. And I just really think that I'm glad that you listen to us or watch us. Well, I'm not sure. I think she just listens. She's still trying to catch up. But hopefully you're caught up soon so that you can just be on target with us, because you must be wondering at some of the things we've been talking about, because they are timely. So I'm glad for feedback. It made me a very happy woman. Now, continue this. We need you to continue this feedback, so please, MondayMorningCatholic.net is our website, such as it is. You can leave your comments and stuff there as well, but you can send it like everybody else has been sending it to MondayMorningCatholic@gmail.com. That is where you can get us for email. You can always put it up on Facebook. We do talk about people who do post on Facebook, facebook.com/MondayMorningCatholic, or here's my number, so call me. You can call us at the lovely feedback line. People call and then hang up.
That was me.
That was you. Okay. They do. They call and they hang up, and I never. And it's funny. I never see. I don't see where they're from. I just get. It's just basically a hang up, or I'll get a one, because I don't. It doesn't ring on my phone, but I do see when it comes up. So use the feedback. I know, and I've got it saying there, hi, this is the Monday Morning Catholic feedback line. Not my personal line. So y'all know what it must all be crank callers or, whatever. But please give us a call, 774-955-0659. All right, we have many, many homilies, so let's get to it.
Do you hear what I hear?
Do you hear what I hear? For the 23rd Sunday in Ordinary Time. Yes, we missed a week. And we know it. But we're not going to go back to, we may reference that week if it came up in anybody's homilies, but I think the string of reference going from one week to the other has passed for the summer. Thank you, Jesus. Yeah. Now it's just, on a weekly basis. So this past week's readings, the first reading came from Isaiah 35. I thought I was in, either Advent or Christmas.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to go to the eyes of the blind, be open. I went to kind of emphasize, say to those whose hearts are frightened, be strong, fear not. And I think a lot of people have a lot of fear. And fear is not from God. It's from somewhere else. So I know people say that, I forget, somebody said that the words fear not or be not afraid are in the Bible 365 times. Coincidence?
It's one of Jesus' favorite phrases.
It is. It's one of everybody's favorite phrases in the Bible, fear not. So I was kind of hoping somebody would jump on that, but the one I heard went the route of the eyes of the blind, be opened and all that. So I can understand. Psalm 146, praise the Lord, my soul, was the proper psalm, or you could just sing Hallelujah. One of those weeks where Hallelujah was acceptable.
Actually, I sang a little of both.
You do Bernadette Farrell? Because that's
No, I did not do Bernadette Farrell's. I did Paul Tate's.
Okay.
From the Cry Out with Joy collection. It was a nice, easy refrain. And the last verse of the psalm ended with an Hallelujah. So I did a little of both.
And the one I refer to, the Bernadette Farrell, started with Hallelujah, and then I will praise the Lord, my soul. So it's the opposite. It was backwards.
There you go.
What did you, as to the other two of you?
What'd you use?
I used Psalm of the Day. I used the RNA. It was a very simple melody. People caught on very quickly, sang well.
Okay. And Steve, you still RNA bound?
Yeah, but I've been rewriting the verses. I can't take them, so I rewrite the verses.
Go, Stephen.
You want to admit that publicly, Stephen?
Yes, that's fine. I mean, it's just my own personal thing. But honestly, I could hear the people singing the refrain, which was a good thing.
Go.
It was one of those that they picked easy. Yeah.
But the verses, I try to add a little something to them.
You have to.
If the paddy wagon from OCP wants to come pick me up, fine. But I just take a pen and I just kind of add a little bit more to the verses because I just can't. I can't.
Well, that's what I liked about the Cry Out with Joy settings. They have chanted verses.
I just ordered.
The chant is interesting.
Yeah, I just ordered the from GIA the Michael Guimont Psalms.
Oh yeah.
I like them.
I decided, I'll look at those too. But again, baby steps because I'm in a new place.
Yep, there you go.
But even with the Guimont, Steve.
Yeah.
I always found myself playing with harmonics because I never wanted to always hear 1-4-5-1.
Yeah.
I'd put it like a 2 and a. Now, of course, everybody's going, "What the heck?"
The only thing that was a comment made to me yesterday after Mass by one of the by Sister Dorothy, who's our DRE.
Mm-hmm.
She said, "Oh, should I have to tell you? When you sing the psalm, I can understand every word."
Ah, yes.
She said that was not always the case. Yeah. And the woman next to her was shaking her head in agreement.
Yeah.
So I thought, oh, okay. So
that's a credit to your diction.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess so. So.
Well, the psalm is meant to be understood. It's just like a good lector who has to proclaim. The psalm is proclaimed. It's not just sung. So, yay, Steve. All right. Okay, James 2 we're still in the book of James. I think we'll be there for a couple of weeks. Show no partiality as you adhere to the faith. Now, I read a couple of commentaries yesterday last night that were saying that people were preaching on the gospel and on the first reading and leaving out James. And I don't know how true that is. It's true from where I was. We did not hear about James. And I know James in itself could be its own commentary, especially with what's going on in the world today.
Right.
But I found it very interesting. It fit, but it depended.
Yeah, we kind of got all three.
Yeah, you do. Oh, good. All right. I like to hear that. But I understand when they just do first reading gospel, too, if they're trying to make that point. And then, of course, the gospel. We're back into Mark after spending a few weeks in John. And how many ephathas, where was the syllable?
Syllable.
Yes.
I'm trying to remember. It must have been in the right place or it would have stuck out to me.
Exactly.
Yeah, same here. I
No
don't
faux
recall.
pas here. Yeah.
I don't recall any faux pas.
Now, kudos to the priests and deacons.
Yes, yes. I must have been correct because I don't remember going, oh.
I haven't heard I think they're a little bit better than we lectors can be at times when it comes to some of these words. But that one can trip you up.
Sure.
Spelled. So, with 5 homilies, who wants to go first?
All right.
Go, Nancy.
Go, Nancy.
All right. Basically, I will be honest with everyone and say I really didn't pay as close attention as I should have because I forgot we had the podcast today. So what I'm sharing, yeah, I know, wah. So what I'm sharing is hopefully what people who listened normally, taking no notes, doing nothing else extra, took from the homily. And he started with a joke, if you will, not so much talking about hearing. And as someone who's having hearing issues, folks, this was something I listened to clearly, talking about a husband and wife and not being able to hear each other type of thing. How can I tell my wife that she's not, her hearing's going? Stand at the far end of the building and keep calling closer and closer and closer. And if she can't hear you, then that's an indication she can't hear. So he gets forward, he gets in front of her and has to say, "What's for dinner?" And she says, for the 5th time, chicken. And so the bottom line is it's not the wife's issue. It's a matter of listening and a matter of hearing. And is this how we listen to God? Do we hear what we want to hear? Do we hear? Do we choose not to hear something that is maybe? We'd always talk about God's will. Do we choose to not listen to things that aren't in alignment with our will, even though they might be God's will? Or the silence that we talked about earlier. Silence is as well a message from God. Mm-hmm. So how are we listening to God, or are we even bothering to listen to God? Are we stopping long enough to hear what He has to say to us? Mm. And so that really, it was as simple as, am I taking the time to hear what God has to say to me? So, as simple as that. And if it's as simple as that's what people take away from the pews without any extra issue, that's good.
Cool.
Yeah, it is.
And it's I've had those days too, Nancy.
Oh dear, I almost cried. I went out and go, oh, we have the podcast. Oh no.
Yeah, and see, because I run the show, I tend to give it to you guys and just say we have too many. I won't say anything.
Yeah.
That's what happens to me. But I tend to record them, which I know yesterday got a few looks from the people around me. I just put the phone on my lap and I hit record. And I know people were saying, like, what the heck? But, no, I'm not sending it to the bishop. No, I'm not anything negative. It's, but then you don't want to have to explain it. But that's how I do it. Thank you.
Welcome.
Concise and to the point. Okay. Next.
All right, you want me
Steve's
to go?
looking at the birds out the window there.
I'll go.
Why don't you go, Nance? Linda, go ahead.
I'll go. Our pastor was away in Minneapolis this weekend doing a wedding, and the priest that stood in for him said, when Father John gets to do a wedding, he gets to go to Minneapolis. He said, when former students ask me to do a wedding, they live in Central Falls. So anyway, so we had a visiting priest, and the visiting priest's homily began also with a story about Grandpa, and it was the way he began it that just riveted everybody. He said, Grandpa had been progressively having trouble with his hearing, and everybody just kind of looked at him like, okay, what's next? So he had everybody right there with the beginning of the story. And he went on to say that Grandpa went to the doctors finally, and the doctor gave him state-of-the-art hearing aids, so small that they couldn't be detected. And so when Grandpa went back about a month later for a checkup, the doctor says to him, he says, your hearing is 100%. Your family must be thrilled. And he said, I haven't told them yet, but I've changed my will 3 times.
Yes.
So anyway, he said, that's all well and good. He said, but let's think for a minute about people like Jesus helped the man in the gospel story. Let's think about a person in our life who has helped us to hear the word of God, or to hear something, a message we never heard before. And then he used the movie The Dead Poets Society, and how the central character, John Keating, opens the boy's ears, which had been, totally closed, to poetry. So much so that they revived the Dead Poets Society and read poetry, and it expanded their lives and expanded their minds, he said, even though for some this didn't work out. But Keating was somebody who opened their ears to the beauty in life. And then he said, let's look at Isaiah for a minute. He said, Isaiah is talking about what the world is going to be like when the Messiah comes. And he said, let's look at this new Bishop of Rome that we have. He said, the Bishop of Rome, that's what he calls himself, the Bishop of Rome. And he talked a little bit about Francis and what he did when he was first elected. And he said, Holy Thursday comes, and what does Francis do? Francis goes to a prison and washes the feet of horrors, women. And not only women, but Muslim women. Francis opened our ears to the words of the gospel. And he said the next day, a Monsignor, trying to defend what the Holy Father did, said, well, the Holy Father did not break the law. He just ignored it. Everybody laughed. Yeah. And so he said, looking at the words from James, we can't ignore those. We have to hear the words of mercy and hear God's call to treat everyone as a brother and a sister. And then he went on to talk about, Here I Am, Lord. He said, there's a song that you all know. It's called Here I Am, Lord. And I sang it wrong. He said, I'm making confession here. I sang it wrong for 10 years. He said, I sang, and I only sang it this way because that's what I thought the words were. He said, Here I am, Lord. Is it I, Lord? I have heard you calling in the night. I will go, Lord, if you need me. And he said that kind of gave me an out because, if God didn't need me, then I didn't have to go. But the actual words to the song are, I will go, Lord, if you, and the congregation answered, lead me. And therefore, how can we be led by the Lord unless we are listening to what the Lord is speaking to us? And then next week, we're having our ministry fair, and he knew that. And he talked about the ministry fair, and don't wait until there's a crying need. He said, come forward and do a ministry in this parish because it fulfills your baptismal promises, not because somebody needs you to do it, because it fulfills your baptismal promises. I loved that. And he closed with a quote from Father Mello. Father Mello said, I used to be deaf, and I would look at people jumping around and wondered what in the world they were doing. Until one day, my ears were opened and I heard the music. And then I knew that they were dancing with joy. And that's how he ended.
Well, interesting that he was able to not only do the scripture, but get in the ministry day for next week as well.
Yes, very skillfully woven.
Kudos.
And because he kept using little stories throughout, it kept people pretty riveted. It kept people pretty interested. It was very well done.
Good preaching. A good preacher.
Yeah.
I happen to know who it is, so it's good. He's good. He is a good.
He is a good preacher.
Who is it, Linda? Who was it?
Creedon. Joe Creedon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, there's another take on it. Now, Steve, I know you have two homilies. Were they a lot alike or very different from each other?
It's interesting. It's that they were different. They were different. So the first one was from the pastor, and he said, "Open your eyes and clear your ears." He said, and he started with a story. He said, St. Augustine's is one of the churches that's open all day, and it is. It's open all day from the morning until the evening mass at night, because they have a mass at 7 in the morning and then 5:30 at night daily. And he said he likes to keep it that way because people do come in and out all day. And he said, thanks be to God that we have not experienced any of the vandalism or anything like that we've heard about recently. And he said, but one day he was in the church doing something and he noticed a woman was sitting in the pew praying, but she was also visibly upset. So he went over to her, and I guess the woman's father had died, and she went on to say that she hadn't been inside a church in decades. And so he said, they talked for a while, and then she ended up going to the sacrament of confession. And he said he could tell that a sense of peace came over her, and even though that she would struggle, even though the struggles in life continue, he hoped that she had a newfound strength in coming back into God's presence. And he said, that's a case of a drastic event that caused her to respond to God's invitation. He said, but we don't need drastic events to respond to the invitation, which I thought was interesting. And he said, and he was very good with this. He said, the church isn't there to be judgmental. I think he meant the parish community itself. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And he said, we're called to forgive and to reach out to others, and it's a simple request, but it involves all of us to be open to embrace God, to embrace the God within ourselves. And again, he honed in on the phrase, open your eyes and clear your ears, and may we truly trust God and experience his invitation to us. That was one.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And the next one was our assistant, and he honed in on he has done all things well.
Okay.
Which is why I'm just telling you that they're so different.
Yeah, really.
Now something completely different.
Yeah. And he said, how many times we pat ourselves on the back for, we do something and we go, wow, I did a good job. He said, yeah, how many times do we recall something that we haven't done well? We don't want to talk about that. Mm-hmm. And then he used the example, because there were a lot of kids at this mass. He said, how about the kids, when mom tells you to clean your room and you throw all your junk in the closet and you close the door, and then mom comes in and opens the closet and there's an avalanche? He said sort of along those lines. He said, and that, and he kind of got everyone was laughing, and he said, but seriously, we also have to do well in the spiritual aspect of our lives and persevere in faith. And he said, may we recommit ourselves to live for God. And then he did a little bit on the gospel, and he said, the man in the gospel, he had some problems. He had a hard life, and yet he was healed. He was healed, and it restored his confidence, in God, especially because then they were, telling everybody what had happened. So he said, may we be as open and have that confidence in God, for he does do all things well. And that was his homily.
Wow, those are different.
Very different, yeah.
Yeah.
Very different turns.
So the only thing that saved me is I had chose You Are Mine, and it hit on both of them. So
There you go.
Mine, me too.
There you go. Musicians saved the day again.
And it worked because the thing he kept using was, open your ears to hear the call, because God calls us each by name. Okay. And I knew what I was going to sing.
Well, gee, as in a live show happens all the time.
Yeah.
My phone starts ringing. Anyway, we went to visit some friends up in another church. In fact, we were off to see Father David Costa.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I love Father Costa.
How is Father Costa?
Father Costa was not well.
Oh.
Oh.
He did not say Mass.
Oh.
He had got up. He had apparently been to a local outside establishment the night before, and hope nobody could hear that. He had.
Yeah, we heard it.
All right. You couldn't understand it, right? Tell me you
No.
couldn't. Thank you very
Couldn't
much.
understand it.
All right. Good.
Something about lasagna? I don't know.
Nothing to do with lasagna, trust me. All right. So he had been to he had presided a wedding day before, had been to the outside establishment for the reception, and got up the next morning. Apparently, something was not good with the food.
Oh, dear.
So they had to call in the reserves.
Yeah.
He has gentlemen come from Providence College.
Oh.
Okay. He has Father Gabriel. Who
Oh, wow, okay.
Oh, nice.
We know Father.
was Father Ken who came.
Ken Latoile?
No, another last name, can't remember it.
Oh, you know what, Joanne? I've played for him, and it's on the tip of my tongue, but I can't think of the last name.
Exactly.
Oh, it'll come to me.
Gumbert.
Keep going.
Gumbert? Is it Ken
Oh,
Gumbert?
so, Sicard.
Okay.
All right. So he was supposed to be, I guess, doing that because Father David has two parishes.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be doing, I believe, the 11 o'clock at St. Mary's, and the Mass at Sacred Heart is at 10:15.
Oh.
So he had to do the 10:15 Mass,
Oh, my.
basically run out the door, and I think their Mass started at 11:10. But that happens nowadays. You know, I can tell you that from Middleborough. So we ended up with Father Ken, and it was a very good homily. Of course, he's more academic, so this is going to definitely be almost like a little bit of a theology lesson, which for me is great.
Yeah.
For others, but he really can speak down at the folks level too. So, and I shouldn't say down, but he speaks at their level as well as speaks the academic stuff. So he goes to say there is so much more than just the healing of the deaf man in today's gospel. That's just on the surface. We can't read the gospels like we read the newspaper. And we can't just read the stories of Jesus' miracles as if they were, once upon a time. And of course, at that point, I was hearing Into the Woods in my head.
Yeah.
I hate when I get the Broadway references. It's just like they have no control over me. So he goes on, we have to dig down below the surface and really find the spiritual, symbolic meaning. What does the story tell us about Jesus? And what does the story tell us about ourselves? Mark wants us to know that Jesus was much more than someone who had supernatural powers and went around healing others. In Mark's gospel, we hear time and again Jesus telling his followers not to tell the others about his miracles. He doesn't want them to know yet that he is the Messiah. And this happens about 7 times. Of course, the number 7 is big. Actually, but see, the problem was actually people were looking for a sort of superhero / miracle worker / warrior Messiah. But that's not how Jesus defined his greatness or mission, which was that he was here as a servant to others out of love. And the most significant part of Jesus' ministry was not that he could perform miracles, but that he gave himself in complete love, in complete sacrifice on the cross. The miracles were only signs that pointed to that cross. And of course, the gospel is complemented by the first reading from Isaiah. All the conditions Isaiah speaks about, being blind, lame, dumb, deaf, are all signs of human brokenness, and not just physical, but spiritual as well. And this was, I think, the best line of his homily. A broken spirit is much more devastating than any physical infirmity. And I think I'd had to agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus is constantly calling us to be open to seeing and hearing God. And the ability to open ourselves to God's gifts to us comes to us from the Holy Spirit at baptism. It's part of the ritual. You do hear this be opened as part of the ritual. You do hear about, dispelling the dark, turning away from the darkness and all that. But we close ourselves off from God, not so much on purpose. There are a lot of distractions in our lives, a lot of noise that takes our attention away from Jesus and the Gospels. That's why in the Gospel story, Jesus takes the man away from the crowd, away from the distractions, to open his ears. It's the same for us. For Jesus to effectively work in our lives, we have to find quiet time away from the noise and distractions to listen to him. Wherever that is, home, church, work, we have to remember that God has a lot to say to us, but it's up to us to listen. We can't allow ourselves to be deaf to God. So, of course, then he left with the good professor leaves you with 3 questions. How open are we to see and know God? How carefully have we listened to Jesus? How strongly have we reflected what we have heard in the things we say and do each day? Drop mic. Walk away. For me, I like that sort of challenge.
Yeah.
So it was nice to hear, to get to hear that sort of, think about what you're doing. And it really tied in for me with listening to the Pope on the town hall meeting. And that was something that I wanted just to briefly touch on. I'm watching the time, but to briefly touch on, because that was such a coup last week for ABC. I don't understand how they did that. There was no advance warning. They were able to pull this off with 3 different groups in our country. My only problem with the whole thing was when you saw what you saw on TV, broadcast television, was not all of it. And when I watched yesterday morning online the complete 42 minutes of what happened, I got a better sense of what he was talking about, and it actually plugged into this. Because, he was talking to one young man about, God speaks to us in many ways. God speaks to us in his word. God speaks to us through other people. But God also speaks to us by his silence. And there's an old adage, silence speaks volumes. But a lot of us, because of this world today, we don't listen because we're always distracted with noise. We need to be distracted. For white noise, we need one thing or another. So after hearing that and then listening to this homily, it gave me a lot to think about.
Oh, yeah.
So I know 2 of you did not see the Pope's audience. You really need to watch the online version.
The online version, yeah.
Really, we've got that up on the we've got that up on the Facebook page. I'll put it up on the website. But you really need to watch that version because it makes a lot more sense. It really does. I thought his translator was off.
Yeah.
Because they were editing. They edited out things that made more sense when you heard the whole line. And it's tough to do when we're editing somebody in another language.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
yes, the man speaks Spanish. I know some Americans might have a problem with that. It is his native language. Sorry.
Yeah.
Put aside whatever you got going with Spanish people, and just understand that this man, that's his first language. His second language is Italian. English is like ninth.
Yeah.
You know, and he wants to speak English to us, and he is really trying hard. But I've got to give it to him. At 78, he is learning the English language.
Yeah.
You know, he can speak to us better. And cut him a little slack.
Oh yeah.
He did speak English a couple of times, but it's very labored. You can tell. It'd be like me trying to speak Italian.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it'd be absurd, and people will be laughing at me.
Yeah. I'm laughing because it's me trying to speak English sometimes.
That too.
That too.
Anyway, let's
Love
move
it.
on to the last. Thank you for those homilies. Of course, remember, you can send us your take on the homilies on your own that you hear, mondaymorningcatholic@gmail.com, mondaymorningcatholic.net. You can post them in the comment box. You can put them on the voice feedback, 774-955-0659. Let's go, and I'll use this one because the voice of the people have spoken again. And this week, remember, this little experiment goes on till episode 90, and then we'll think about it, keeping it. But what we ended up this week was from a few different ones. It was an article that is in Patheos, patheos.com, Patheos.com. In the Ponder Anew section, discussions about worship for thinking people. 3 reasons contemporary worship is declining and what we can do to help the church move on. Now, we're not Protestants. I get that. But there are people in our church who look at contemporary versus whatever, traditional. And in our church, I don't even know what those mean anymore.
Yeah.
Seriously. And while I can understand why people were interested in this from a Catholic perspective, I got to be honest, folks. This is not what we are at the moment. What did you think?
It's not what we are, but it's what some places are.
Right.
This whole thing about a band, a praise band.
Catholic churches who do praise bands.
Yeah. Which simply screams, look at me, listen to me, keep your mouth shut, because most of this stuff is meant to be sung by a soloist. And so people are like, I can see where it would be declining. The theology is thin, the glitz is thick, and that's not what we're about.
Right. No, I agree. But it's tough because there are some well-meaning people in our tradition who are saying, well, we need to do this, and the kids need to be the praise band so that we can get them involved. And I just keep saying that's not going to be the answer. And now at least I can point to the Protestant traditions and say it's not working for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's
and as far as getting young people involved, I mean, I get young people involved, and I don't have a praise band,
That's true.
It's I don't think I'd get any more if I did have a praise band. Now, it's true, we have an ensemble. That's not the same thing as a praise band.
Right.
We don't have...
Say it is, but it isn't.
But, well, it isn't, because we don't do those praise, whatever they call them.
The choruses.
Music praise choruses.
Yeah.
We don't do those. We do what was called contemporary.
That's what I mean. What is traditional? What is contemporary in our tradition?
We do what is termed traditional, and we do what was contemporary about 30 years ago,
But I also think this whole thing is an offshoot from contemporary. I think it's becoming a whole genre all to itself in my head.
No, I would agree with you, Nance. Praise music is its own. Praise music is what it is intended to do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? There's not a lot of theology behind it. And it's basic It's basically, Lord, I love you. All things are grand and groovy.
Yeah.
You are my God. That's fine when I go to a Woman of Faith conference. Because we're not celebrating Mass. We're doing something very. It's okay for retreats, as long as it's not part of the Mass necessarily. It's to get the kids motivated. I understand that, but what it does not have in our tradition, it does not have a place in Mass. And
I absolutely agree.
To explain that to me and try to explain their rationale to me, I continue to look at them and say, no, it's not written for liturgy. What we do with liturgy should be written for liturgy. That goes for liturgy as well. So.
But part of the problem, Joanne, is and as we know this as musicians, it's included in some of our resources, and so people just think that. And I even take issue with some of the old things that were written for adoration, if you will, that don't bode well for Mass.
Right.
And I think I'm talking about the old stuff.
Yes.
I know, and I agree.
Yeah.
But people think it's in the book, and so it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. Things that were written for Marian devotional.
Yes.
That show up at Mass. Right. Yep. I get it. Okay. That music. People don't understand that music and liturgy needs to be liturgical music.
Right.
As much as I hate to sound like I'm a narrowist here, it just does, because that's, if you believe and ascribe to the premise that music serves the liturgy, how can something that's not written for liturgy serve it in the way it's intended?
And I agree with what everybody has been saying, and I think one of the things that the publishers have to do for those who are not tuned into what is appropriate and what isn't appropriate is they need to put these books together in such a way, liturgical section, and then praise, however, they need to pull those things out, as Stephen said, and not give them as options for liturgy, because somebody says, well, it's here, must be good, must be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do that, because they're in the business of selling books.
Yeah, well, I'm not saying take it out, I'm just saying
categorize it.
Yeah.
Then when you put a hymnal together or you put a missalette together, there is a way to do this.
I think so.
There's a way to do it. I just don't know. They have learned how to take the national hymns and put them in the back. They have learned how to do that. I don't know if they can do the same thing with praise and worship.
They do the same thing they do with morning, evening prayer. They pull all of this stuff out. Okay. And there's no reason that they can't pull the praise music out, if you will, into a section appropriate, in my mind.
But I know what Steve is saying. If it's in the book, I know that there are publishers who publish books specifically targeted to teens.
Yes, and that's kind of what I'm talking about.
Right. But our Catholic writers tend to write a little bit more in a liturgical piece of the brain than a regular worship song. For example, Awesome God. I love to use Awesome God as my example. There's only one version.
It's so overused.
Well, that too. But there's only one version of Awesome God that I think is fit for anything. Not liturgy. It's not fit for liturgy, but it's fit for concert performance. Somebody wrote a 4-part version of it that's spectacular. Would I use it at Mass? No. Would I use it before Mass? Maybe.
Yeah.
Use it in a concert? Absolutely. But would I use it for Mass? No, because it has no. There's no. I mean, putting on the Ritz. God, that is such a. And kicked them out of Eden. That really offends some people. Yeah. So you got to be careful with what you're. The theology of the things for liturgy. For concert work, well, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
I know this stuff is, and that song is in the book. So a well-meaning person together a group of teenagers might be tempted to use it.
But Joanne, more and more I wonder, and I don't have that much experience with the teen ministry, and it's a challenging one. And God bless people that do it. But I look out sometimes and I wonder if the teenagers just want mainstream but done as best as possible. Does that make any sense?
Yes, Stephen, and I tend to want to agree with you because I have teenagers in my group.
Yeah.
I have always had teenagers in my group because we're a multi-generational ensemble.
Yeah.
And not one of them, not one, has ever asked me to sing Awesome God or Its Ilk.
Jesus.
They have not. And when we sing certain songs, they say, "Oh, that's my favorite," you know. And it's not Awesome God type song. It's one of the songs that we use.
Because ultimately you age out of that stuff, I would think.
Yeah.
You do.
When you're 32 and you're still, you know, it's
I've seen that though.
A prime example was this summer at Notre Dame. The liturgical music ministers had some sessions together with the youth, 350 of them. And in order to get the youth sort of primed, they played a song at the beginning and everybody was dancing. Well, here's all us old fogies in the back rows going, what the heck is going on here? I came to hear a talk. Let's sit down and hear a talk.
Yeah, and see, that's what this article is talking about. It's trying to say that what kills me, the article is saying, is that it's our generation that's causing this problem, which it might still be. We have a mindset of this is
well, I mean, Joanne,
respond to.
I've seen some pictures of quote-unquote worship teams and music bands for teen masses, and they're all old people.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, and I shouldn't say old people, but they're all 40 and over.
Be careful.
Thank you. Be careful, please.
My friends at St. Aidan wouldn't be happy with you.
Yeah.
No.
You know, I'm just.
I say that with love because they.
No,
I
love them too. I know who you're talking, and they're great. But you
they
know,
absolutely
you
are
look.
great.
I'm thinking more of like when Life Teen was in vogue.
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
I played a couple of times for different parishes for those, and we were all way past our teens.
Yeah.
That's prime.
So I don't have that much experience with that. I'm just trying to keep my head above water. But
right.
I know it's this is a challenge. But I just look out sometimes, and because I've had comments made to me. Even when I was in my other parish, the teenagers would come up to me, you know, in conversation and say, "Oh, Mr. Romano, we were on vacation someplace, and the music was terrible." And I said, "Well, what do you mean by that?" "Oh, they had a tambourine."
No.
And I thought, we use tambourines sometimes, but I also think it's where you've grown up and what you're used to.
Right.
You know?
A good liturgical musician has a lot of different genres in their arsenal and use them where they feel appropriate.
Right.
And that way everybody gets a broad spectrum of music in the liturgy, but all of that music serves the liturgy. That's the biggest point here is music serves
the liturgy,
not the other way around.
Yeah.
I think it's a fine line.
Yeah, I know it.
You know.
Well, you know, you do. You have to make decisions, but you have to make informed decisions.
Yeah.
Right.
You have to be educated into what is needed and make informed decisions. Don't just throw things in slots.
Exactly.
But I also think on the other side, and I know we're going probably over time.
Yeah, I was just about to.
I also think on the other side, you need to be mindful that, and maybe I'm saying this because music is so important to me, but you have to also give music its due.
Yeah, you do.
At some points. And to just say music serves the liturgy and not the other way around, to me, is a cop-out. It just means that you want to do as little as possible. And
no, that's not what I'm saying, Steve.
No, but you understand what some people. That's how some people use it.
I do. But as a musician who was taught that music is everything, and you do every single verse, and you do all of the, you know, you cannot do that in liturgy because you assault the action.
Right.
Yeah.
At that point,
No, I
you
understand. I'm not arguing with you on that side.
no,
of things,
I know,
so.
but that's where I come from with it.
Right.
I'm not minimalist by any stretch of the imagination. You all know that. But I have to say that there are musicians who are taught that music is everything, and they do everything. And if it's not correct, they get mad at their choirs, they get mad at their musicians, they get mad at the priest. You know, I mean, no. At that point, whatever you be wise. Choose things that you can get out of, that will work, you know, and if it's a really big piece, do it at prep, do it not even there, do it after communion, do it before Mass, do it, you know, if you want to give the music its due. But no, you know, I don't want to do 3 verses of the hymn because it doesn't take them that long to get down to the aisle. No, that's not what I'm saying at all.
No.
We know that.
I know, and now I'm the last word. I didn't want to be, but now So we have gone over time to our 6 viewers again who are in watching this on live. We thank you very much.
And they've all passed out by now.
Yes.
They're all on their 5th cup of coffee at this point. But it's nice to have you all back and to run discussion like this. I miss this.
Yeah.
When everybody's hither and yon. But it's good that we can all get back together at least once a month. I'm the one who's going to be like, you know, running hither and yon for the next couple of weeks. So, but I'll still be here because I'm the only one.
Let us know what's happening.
Because none of you know how to run the board.
That's right.
And I still want to teach one of you how to do
I
it.
plead ignorance and I stay there.
But you're the closest in proximity to the board.
I plead ignorance.
Let me tell you, the board is mobile. Board can go anywhere. Board can go anywhere. Anyway, one last thing before we go. We are going to be, the next couple of weeks, driving you all crazy because we have a concert coming up.
Yes.
We have put that information out on our Facebook page. We will give it more time next week to talk about what's going to be happening on October 16th here in our area. If you are in our area and would like to drop by, we have a seat for 700. So we're happy.
Actually, we have seats for 800.
800. So we'd love 800 of you to show up.
Yes.
So.
And so would Music Ministry Alive love 800 of you to show up.
Exactly. So take a look at our Facebook page. Take a look at our website. Yes. We will be talking about Haas Hagen and Jonkis.
Yes.
New England for the first time together ever.
Yes.
Got to be here for that because I don't think that's going to happen again. So.
No, I'm pretty
That's
sure
the title. Once in a blue moon.
Yeah, once in a blue moon.
That's why it's billed once in a blue moon.
Exactly. Please, this week's, thank you guys for being with us. This week's prayer has got to be for all those refugees.
Yes.
And, you know, the bishop keeps telling us to pray for persecuted Christians, and we need to pray for everybody who's being persecuted, no matter what, and these refugees, and I applaud the Pope for his efforts and everybody else's. So let's pray that these folks find a new home where they can be free and be who they are and who they're meant to be. So, for Linda Reed, Nancy Smith, Steve Romano, myself, Joanne Mercier, thank you so much for being with us live. We'll go back to live to tape next week, where we'll probably be a lot better than we were this week, although we were pretty good. So thank you for joining us. Keep us in your prayers. We'll pray for you as well. And, as always, ciao for now.
Bye.
Bye.